When I was, I went into my temple room and I was just trying to think of something to talk about. And it came to my mind that one can say they are a personalist. One can speak a philosophy as if it's personal, but within oneself, not embody those qualities. And then you just asked me the same thing. And Panchadara asked the question, which is actually the root of all spiritual personalism. And so I'm just amazed how that's all happening.
It's just magic.
For me, whenever I speak about my experience. I don't like to quote something unless it's interesting, and then proclaim it as my truth. When I speak about my truth, I like to speak about that which I have experienced, which I experience as an ongoing phenomenon, as an ongoing part of my life. And it boils down to this exact topic. Caring and loving and being of service. When I was doing things in ISKCON, you know, I used to, not everybody's from Argentina, right?
No.
Okay, but when I used to go to Argentina and anywhere in, well, basically Argentina, I used to like so much to be there because everybody was so personal. And when we had that last group meeting, that one time we did it when there was all these people there, Mahashaya, who also participated, he's my Russian translator, he said he couldn't believe how personal everybody was.
1 second. I think we don't hear Daityesh anymore. Do you guys hear Daityesh? Sorry. ¿Pueden escucharlo Daityesh ustedes? Sí. Okay. Entonces, okay.
Well, it's good to check. He was amazed at how personal everybody was in that conference. And I told him, I said, well, life is very different there. It's very full of life and enthusiasm and a great deal of passion. I don't mean that in the mode of passion kind of way. I mean that in the way of embracing life, embracing existence, embracing all that it has, and experiencing it very fully. And if you haven't lived outside of, or especially in Europe, and even in those parts of Russia, it can be very cold. The people can be quite cold in the sense of they don't experience life in that same passionate manner. They don't see the totality of life, especially in these relationships. They are, to a certain extent, distant or expecting another kind of way of dealing. Now, Armenians are very different. They are more like that. So I think for you all, the concept of relationships, the concept of personality, the sharing of personality, the sharing of the feelings behind personality are very important. And that's actually a very good thing. Not only good, I would say it's very inspiring. That's why I always like to go down there. I mean, when I first started coming down there in the late 70s, it used to take me 27 hours to fly. You know, I had to take 4 different airplanes and stop maybe 5 or 6 times. It was a big deal. I mean, to get down there was like a major task, and it was physically demanding. But when I arrived, I liked to stay for a month because it was so nice. For me, it was a complete relief from all of the stress that I had undergone. And it was so nice because I was able to be in a relaxed atmosphere. Okay, sure, there was drama. You all know it very well. Lots of drama, interpersonal drama. And yet, it was okay. It didn't bother me. I liked it. Of course not. I didn't like all the drama, but I liked it. So the question you are asking is very much more relevant in your area. Like when I do my Zooms with the Russian group, this kind of a question is not really, it's okay, we might talk about it, and they've heard me speak about it, but it doesn't grab them in the same way. Now, it grabs the Armenians in the same way, but not many others. So that is a major characteristic of you all, and that's actually very good, because I consider it to be one of the most important qualifications for developing an intense connection to Radha and Krishna, to the divine. I would speak about Radha and Krishna. I would speak about Krishna or Radha or all of those great beings beyond us, beyond even the demigod level and so on. I would talk about as the divine energy. We say the divine couples. I would say the divine energy, because that energy is what we are reacting to and interacting with, that energy. When we wish to approach spiritual life, when we wish to come in contact with the deities, when we wish to have this experience of the divine in our life, we are connecting to the energy. And that energy, as you know, energy, energetic source, not different. That energy is is Radha and Krishna. When we connect to the deity like that, it is them. And how that reflects from us, how that interacts with us, totally depends on our relationship with ourselves and our capacity to experience relationship to its fullest degree. Now, that experience very much depends on our having familiarity with it. So let's say you are in life somewhat impersonal. And you know what that means. Let's say, for example, there are people you don't really like, because we all have likes and dislikes. There are some people we like, some people we don't like, some situations we like, some situations we don't like. So when we are forced into an interaction with these people or situations, we put up a shield. Just like if somebody comes to you and you're like this instantly, with the arms, you're creating instinctively a shield to protect yourself from their energy, because that's what you don't like about them. They come in with an energy, or a situation comes in with an energy, and that energy immediately causes a reaction in all our sensory networks that are intimately connected with our energy, because the senses are intimately connected to the energetic source of our existence, our being, soul, if you wish. The spiritual energy that we are fuels the sensory perception. And we also perceive on other levels. We perceive directly energy. It doesn't have to be with the eyes or the ears or whatever. We have direct capacity to perceive energy. So when these people or situations are in front of us, we immediately shield ourselves from them, and we create an impersonal boundary. We don't want them in our energetic field. We don't want them in our life. It becomes an energetic blockage, a blockade, as you will, like in the military, a blockade, something to protect us. And that's interesting. It's natural. You don't have to struggle to do it. Everybody knows how to do it. Babies know how to do it. Children know how to do it. Everybody knows how to do it. Animals may do it in a different way, like dogs will just bark at you. They will just bark, go away, go away, go away, go away. Cats will just turn and leave. Every being, every spiritual being has this defense mechanism within them. So it's possible, and I've heard this discussed also, that impersonalism is firstly, Prabhupada mentioned this once in the Bhagavatam, firstly, a defense mechanism, a methodology by which we protect ourselves from the pain of interaction. But that pain is not just somebody said something that wasn't nice or somebody did something. It's deeper than that. It's the pain of having to experience the energy of someone you do not feel comfortable with. It's that feeling energetically and the pushing that person away. And opposite to that, in a similar fashion, but opposite to that, Daitesh, am I doing okay for you? Opposite to that, but similar, personalism is where you're not afraid, where you're not living a life of fear, especially in regards to others or specific others or specific situations. The more elevated you are in your realizations, the more strength you have, and the less susceptible you are to the negativity that can come energetically towards you. No one is immune. All of us suffer these things, but those who are more equipped to handle it have a better way to do it than a lot of us. Because they, first of all, know it's not related to me. Now, that is, I think, the key to personalism. When you understand that even if you were to allow yourself to be loving, even if you would allow yourself to be kind and caring and to be of service to others, you would not be that afraid when someone sends negativity towards you, because you can see, not all the time, but a lot of the time, that this energy is their energy, not mine. This energy is their projection. They are projecting onto me. Let's say somebody is saying something negative to you, saying something insulting you, or denigrating you, speaking badly about you. You may think of that as them speaking their own pain. I don't know if you're familiar with Eckhart Tolle, but he speaks about this very in great detail and great realization about how people speak from the platform of their own pain. You know, a lot of people have a lot of traumas. We have trauma too. But when we are engaged in positive interactions, spiritual interactions, our trauma does not rule the interaction, because we are presenting in a caring and loving manner. So we are not presenting from the platform of pain or fear. We are presenting from the platform of love and caring. That means that is our, how to say, fundamental, essential truth. It's something you embrace. It's a vision you have, that you choose to express your loving, caring, desiring to be of service self. You choose that consciously. And generally, that will be very nice. But sometimes you will be challenged. It's those times which make us want to ask questions. Like, how do we deal with that? Because when everything is fine and we're all good and we're sending nice, loving energy, and other people are receiving that and reciprocating that because they understand you're not a threat. And that's where the word becomes very interesting, this perception. Somebody perceives you as a threat is totally different if someone does not perceive you as a threat. This is a universal phenomena throughout the entire animal kingdom. And we are part of that animal kingdom. If you are perceived as a threat, it completely changes the interaction. If you are not perceived as a threat, then the interactions become easy and become interesting. They become immersive. So this fear of a threat, this fear of being threatened, this fear that the pain I feel will be increased by this interaction. This is the fundamental basis of problematic situations. And it's easy to see the link between this and impersonalism. Because impersonalism as a philosophy, okay, there's all kinds of words, and there's Brahman, and there's, become one and all that. Put that aside. We're not speaking about an impersonal philosophy. We are talking about impersonalism within the interaction, because that was also the question. That was the original point. Panchadharma, the original point Gandhini elaborated. It's not a philosophy, it's an experience. And it's one that we can do, it's one we do every day, all the time. You see, if you just talk about personalism versus impersonalism, that's okay. That's philosophical. That's discussion about, you can quote, and you can argue, and you can make points, and all of this is fine. But this is not what we're talking about here. Here we are talking about that everyday, moment by moment experience of how we are presenting ourselves by choice and how we are interacting with others by choice. How we choose to present and how we choose to react to someone else's presentation. Because the fundamental structure of personalism is interactions between people. And just as I have my choice how to present myself and how to react to presentations, the other person is doing the exact same thing. So you have many people everywhere at every moment in time choosing how they wish to define themselves in their presentation to others and reacting, choosing how to react to others. So personalism requires a multiple attack on life. Number one, I shall be personal towards others by my choices. Number two, here's another person. What do I do now? And to put forward my desire to be personal. But then when I'm challenged, how do I see that situation? I'll tell you how I see it. I'm not trying to say I do this all the time. I'm not trying to say this is a very advanced way of doing it. I'm just sharing how I do it. How I do it is I try not to react. I try to listen. Not always possible. Sometimes people are just so crazy, so negative, so horrible. You have to get away. You're always going to have that situation every now and then. Nothing you can do about it. But in all the other situations. And that's most of the day. I don't know, I can't really say for everybody, but for me, it's very rare that I meet such negativity. I would say maybe once or twice a week, maybe, if I think about it. Of course, I don't do history. I don't do a log of, I met this negative person. I don't do that. So I would say maybe once or twice a week. So then what do? If I meet somebody who's not one of those got to avoid them completely people, I meet somebody who is expressing their pain and expressing their fear. First thing, I don't react and I don't become a threat. I don't believe I'm a threat to anyone, but some people see me that way. I've bumped into people a lot like that, where they see me as a threat, which is very unusual for me because I'm not a threatening person. But sometimes it's there. So what I try to do is pull back any energy I might be putting out, positive or negative, to just not react to that accusatory stance. This guy is a problem. This guy is a threat. So I don't react to that. I, by my action, pull back and don't react and don't become aggressive. And that helps some extent after a while. And if there's a chance to interact, I try to do it as calmly and as nicely as I can. I do not mean paint a rosy picture or butter the person up or try to be artificially nice. I mean, just not threatening, not aggressive, and being there if required. And I listen, not just to that kind of person. Whoever comes to me, I listen. What are they saying? And then as I listen, I come to understand, well, how am I being spoken to? Am I being spoken to by a person? That means the energy, the essence, being. Is being speaking through the vehicle? Is the love manifesting? Not necessarily in great quantities, but is a nice person, being good, being pleasant, demonstrating their way of perceiving their identity, manifesting towards me? Or am I hearing pain? Or am I hearing fear? If I hear pain and fear, I listen and ask questions. I start asking questions. I allow the person to find their way around their fear and pain so that we can get to the point of having a conversation. You can't even have a conversation unless you get around the fear and the pain. So I'm not saying I do this all the time. There's a lot of interactions where it's just interaction because they're necessary interactions. I'm talking about when it's something significant. I should have said that in the beginning. Sorry. I don't mean this all the time, every day with all people. Sure, every day with all people, I try to be nice and pleasant and not a threat, unless I should be a threat. Let's say I'm paying somebody to do something and they're screwing it up entirely, or I get garbage as a product. Well, then I should be a threat. I nicely start, please return this, please fix this. But if not, you have to escalate. Okay, That's out of the way. We're not talking about that. But we're talking about these significant interactions. A significant interaction. This interaction we're having right now is significant. It's significant because you are investing your time, your energy, your intellect, your emotions. You are investing it in this interaction. I feel it. This is not just a theory. I feel it very deeply. So I am interacting with that. I'm trying to expand that in a way, in a practical way. Like, here's how you can do it. Now, someone might say, let's play the devil's advocate on the other side.
Can we switch the translator?
Sure.
Sorry. Krishna Shakti, abrí tu micrófono, por favor. Can you tell Daitesha, cerrar tu micrófono, por favor? Perdón, sorry. Okay. The other perspective, now we have a different translator, so it goes accordingly.
You mean when I went to devil's advocate, we had to have another translator?
Yeah.
But that's not nice. Then we have Daitesha's the angel and the other one's the devil. That's not right. That doesn't work. But I get what you mean. So back to the devil's advocate. Now, I forgot what I was going to say. What was I just talking about?
A different perspective. Because you were saying how we gave you the energy for which you take that energy and you use it to...
Okay, so someone might say, this series of practical tips or advice, or this entire discussion fits within the realm of material. These are material things. This is all material. Real spirituality and all that, you should only interact in service, and you should only hear Shastra, and you should only hear mantra and things like this. Okay, sure. But if you want to be a personalist, you have to learn these things. This is the fundamental essence, the basis of all spirituality. If you want to have and develop a real, actual connection with the deities, the closest we have to Radha and Krishna, right? The deities. You have to be a functioning, experienced personalist, not a theoretical personalist. You can have the greatest theoretical, philosophical knowledge in existence, but unless you have that experience, you know the manner in which your energy may be expressed, and you have full capacity to accept the energy of others and to interact and to support and to expand that relationship. You cannot participate on the level that one wishes to participate in spiritual life with the divine beings. This is a prerequisite condition. It is not material. It is the absolute spiritual prerequisite condition by which the person, the being, may embrace the divine. And it's not a one-way street. It's a two-way interaction. Radha and Krishna, or Krishna, as you wish to say, relates with you. You relate with him. It is a two-way street. It is also without fear and without pain from your side. You won't find fear and pain on that side. You will find fear and pain on your side. So if you are accustomed or you have a natural inclination towards, or you flow automatically towards expressing your fear and your pain, you will go before the deities and you will tell them your fears and your pain. This will be your interaction. Your fears. I'm not good enough. I can't advance. And my pain. I'm so sinful. I'm so fallen. And so on. So when you take your fear and your pain before the deities have to wait for you to maneuver around and through your fear and pain to connect with them in a real conversation. Do you understand this? It is not different from everything we just talked about. It is the essence of spiritual interaction. It is the essence of spiritual relationship. That you can't express that fear and pain towards them, the divine. You can't do it. If you do, you're not making connection. You're not doing it the way you wish. So this topic is not material at all. It is a fundamental requirement for spiritualists to learn this with people, because people are not the problem. People are not Maya. People are not to be avoided. People are not, oh, that's just Maya talking. Oh, they're just this, or oh, they're just foolish, or oh, they're just karmis, or oh, they're this and that. One has to experience this by choosing to be a personalist, by interacting with others in this manner to develop the muscles, the personal muscles. The personal muscles here too, the personal muscle here, by which the interaction has that deep experience. And then when you finally, or when you get to the point of interacting with Krishna, Radha and Krishna, the divine beings, you can embrace it. Because you know immediately you'll find no fear and no pain coming at you, no judgment. All the fear, pain, judgment, and all that stuff starts here, not there. And when you learn the art of that personalism, you can embrace their energy. You not only embrace it, you draw it towards you, because it's always flowing that way. It's flowing. It's whether or not you block it out of fear. It's flowing. You draw it You absorb it. It's an act. Even if energy is flowing towards you, you have to absorb it. It's an action. It's an act. It's a receptivity. You are receptive to the energy. You draw it towards you. And then you embrace it. That embrace is you reaching out and embracing, creating this connection, this us, as I call it. The us, the connection between Radha and Krishna, or the divine, or Krishna, however you want to express this. I leave it to you because it's personal. And you, you're reaching out, you're experiencing that energy from them. You are expressing your energy. You are embracing this usness, which is a unique being in itself. This usness, the energetic embrace. Ramanujacharya speaks about this very deeply. That is this, the fundamental essence of his philosophy is this embrace of oneness. And I think this is the most important thing we could ever learn. And it's amazing you guys asked about it, so bravo.
Fantastic. Wow. I mean, for me, open a lot of windows now, a lot of new perspective.
What I've been trying to do, I've been trying to understand the point of things. I mean, what's the point? So I ask that a lot. What's the point? Do I have to look at it this way? Or can I look at it that way? Or is there another way to look at it? And if I do, what do I see? Well, sure, it doesn't work all the time, but sometimes it does, and it's good. So for me, I wanted to approach, now it wasn't a plan. I approached spiritual life from another perspective, entirely of feeling. And it opened up doors left and right. I think that's what your group is about, isn't it? I think that's what you're trying to do, isn't it?
Yes.
Nice.
It's also easier because we are at the distance, so we interact each other only with camera. You know, we feel the connections, but we don't live together. So it's not, you know, maybe it works because of that, you know.
You're not so challenged. Yeah, because of that passion. You know, the passion which creates also conflict when it gets overheated. And I get that. Italians are the same way. I get that. I grew up in that way.
That's why you like Argentina also.
Maybe, yeah, also.
Hay algunas preguntas en el chat. Creo que Gopalito había hecho una pregunta. No sé si la querés hacer directamente, Gopal. No sé si está listo para preguntas o quiere seguir hablando. A mí me pegó fuerte eso de no hablar con...
Oh, wait, there's stuff in the chat. I didn't see that. Hang on. Okay, I'm not very good at this, Jazz. And this also requires, where are my glasses?
No, don't worry. I mean, they can read it. They are here. You don't have to read it. They can go in order and they can read it.
But how am I going to answer it if I can't read it?
No, they will ask the question.
Oh, okay.
Gopal can speak or not?
Yes. Gopal.
Okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hari. Thank you so much for your time. It's been very much enlightening already.
Thank you.
The first question, you already answered it without knowing. I thought that you were reading it while you were talking, because you started to answer it while, without knowing.
First of all, I don't have my glasses. They're in another room and I'd have to interrupt everything. There's not a chance on the planet I can read one word that's here. So forget that.
Yeah, amazing. So I'll
Like I
just read
said,
it for you to.
synchronicity.
Yeah, totally. I'll just read it for you to know that I was asking this thing in particular, and then I have one more question that is recently related to your last topic. So, how can one be loving, personal, and engaged to its fullest degree without exceeding our
Gopal, un segundito, porque está traduciendo
sorry.
la devota y necesita traducir más lentamente, porque no puede leer ella y traducir, entonces tiene que escucharte. Perdón.
Yeah. So, it's okay?
Está en el chat la pregunta.
Yeah. So, how can one be loving, personal, and engaged to, as you said, fullest degree, without exceeding our energetic boundaries, especially when we are relating with people under toxic or degrading energy habits, or even astral beings, taking into account that one might be trying to enhance these people's light and spiritual potential.
That was not difficult.
All about passiveness and hearing. Sorry, Gandini.
Most people here speak Spanish. So, Gopal, you spoke again very fast. So, para. You can say in English for Hari, slower. And then if the translator cannot translate, you have to say it again in Spanish. You are bilingual, so you can say it both ways. Sorry, Hari, I'm trying to make everybody, and I can hear the translator is completely stuck. Can translate anything.
Yeah, I'll just ask it in Spanish as well. Entonces, ¿cómo uno podría ser amoroso, personal y comprometido en todos estos vínculos personales en su totalidad, como mencionaba Hari al principio, sin exceder nuestros límites energéticos, especialmente cuando nos relacionamos con personas que están bajo hábitos tóxicos o energías degradantes, inclusive que están inconscientemente vinculados con seres astrales, teniendo en cuenta que uno se relaciona con estas personas con el afán de ayudarlos a potenciar su espiritualidad y su bondad, ¿no? So that was the question, Hari. I don't know if you got it properly. And I wanted to tell that all about, you said about the passive, hearing and waiting, asking them questions, and not to become a threat to these people, and to pull back any energy, positive or negative. I took it very much as an answer, as a good answer to.
Okay. And you had another question?
Yeah, great. So I'll move on. First, I'm gonna say it in English for you, Hari, and then I'll repeat it in Spanish for the.
I have an idea. Can you say it first in Spanish and then tell me in English?
Great. Yeah. So we keep it the flow. Entonces, ¿cuál es, dónde entra el dolor, el miedo y en general la oscuridad en general entran como conceptos útiles y o positivos en esta experiencia material a través de la cual nosotros aprendemos a ser un buen personalista para luego, obviamente, avanzar en nuestro camino espiritual como personalistas? Debería ser uno capaz de absorber estas bajas energías de personas que queremos y simplemente transformarlas en este amor y en este no juicio y apoyo, o simplemente deberíamos apoyar a la otra persona desde este rol pasivo de escuchar, de preguntar, de no expresar demasiado, que había mencionado Hari antes. Esa es en español. So in English, for you, Hari, where does the pain, fear, even darkness fit as useful or positive concepts in the material experience through which we learn to be a good personalist? Should we be able to absorb low energy from people we love and transform it into love, non-judgment and support, or should we just be supportive from passive role, the passive role you mentioned before?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's that's right down to what's called brass tacks, very specific.
I'm sorry.
And that's good. That's good. I mean,
Sí,
a lot of
no te estamos escuchando. ¿Estás traduciendo? La respuesta es Hari, ¿podés responder? No lo que dijo Gopal. Sorry, Hari. Again, trying.
a lot of times when we have meetings or we talk about subjects like this, it all sounds really good and we like it, but then we have to go into life, and then we meet these situations and we meet these circumstances that, now, well, what he said that over there should be something that works all the time perfectly, and I shouldn't have these problems, and I maybe I'm not doing it right, maybe I haven't transcended enough, maybe I haven't learned enough, and then we start blaming ourselves. Wrong. Just because I'm saying these things doesn't mean I get it right all the time. I get things all screwed up like everybody else. The idea that you get to a certain level and then you don't have that kind of challenge anymore. You know how to deal with it. That's not right. Everybody has to deal with these things. And there will be times when you will be challenged to the max. And you're not going to make it through that moment. There will be times, I don't know how many, where you will experience things in a way which will make you wonder how you're going to go on even. Your life can be challenged, your future can be challenged, your stability can be challenged at any moment. So now, if you think I'm going to come up with a technique that you can deal with that, it is not going to happen. What I can say with experience is sometimes you got to just get through the storm, and there is light at the end of that tunnel, or there is a peace at the end of the storm. When you're in a storm, it's very difficult. It's really difficult. Everybody finds it difficult. Every single person finds a storm difficult. Now, that's why the concept of tolerance comes in. That's not a technique. That's just a discipline. A technique is something where if you do it like this, it'll come out like that. Tolerance and patience, these are disciplines that must be cultivated. When the storm is there, I'm using the word storm, you know what I mean, I hope, that all these different circumstances that could be this or could be that, or that you're really finding the struggle and the stress. When the storm is there, you tolerate. Of course, let's say your house is being battered and you have to close the windows and stuff. That's another thing. That's the practical affairs. But the psycho-emotional situation has to be tolerated. And wait until there's a moment when that which is more powerful than you relieves to the extent where you can be yourself again without that. So tolerance and patience, these are tools in our toolbox for dealing with these situations. There are other situations, like when it's in a family. Nothing worse than this happening in a family, because shutting down and blocking off just makes things very difficult. Or when it's a loving relationship that all of a sudden gets incredibly strained by whatever circumstances. So the idea of protecting yourself, or of being just not relating to it, or this is more troublesome because these people know how to agitate you. They know exactly the spots to push. They know the buttons. They know exactly where your buttons are. I mean, every husband and wife on earth knows this perfectly well. If I want this, I push that button. And 100% of the time, they get that reaction. It's just the way it is. So what happens when the button is pushed? Rah! A reaction. But sometimes the other one says, finally, a reaction. And at least the communication can start. So I guess the most important part of that is communication. Like when these situations arise, where it's a lot of stress in that kind of a situation, to communicate properly, not accuse, not condemn, not kick and scream, but communicate. You don't have to be happy about it. Happiness is not required, but communication is required. Communication is very deeply required because it's the only way out. So did that address what you wanted to?
Yes, Hari, thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you very much. And relating to this last thing about...
One second,
Sorry.
1 second. Sorry, tengo que interrumpir porque we're going to switch again translators because
Yeah.
Krishna Shakti is getting tired. So Krishna Shakti, cut your microphone, and the dietitian, you open your dietitian, your microphone. Okay. Okay, now you can speak, Gopal, slowly, so that everybody can, the translators especially.
So, yeah, thank you very much, Hari. And what happens if this storm that actually is very synchronical with these days of myself, because I'm, another topic, but what happens if this storm has not to do with family members or friendship, like other people, but with myself? How do I differentiate between tolerance and patience, and not opposing to myself indulgence in that in those personal processes? You know what I mean? I mean,
yes,
I can be patient with myself many times, but I might be being too much self-indulge, whatever, with my own, with things that I know that I should be, changing or improving.
Yeah, this is an interesting question. It's a good question. And it's one, you see, it's again, this, when you want to actually put these things into practical action, when you want to develop the experience of being able to present yourself in a way which you wish to, so that others may perceive you as you are, requires that you know who you are, requires that you are comfortable with who you are. So if you are comfortable with who you are, if you know who you are, if you accept who you are, you have a very much less risk. You run less risk of storm. Now, I guarantee you, you're not the only one experiencing storms, because right now the entire world is in absolute chaos. I mean, we're talking about chaos that has never been seen before because of the technology allowing us to know everything that's happening everywhere at all times. This is causing a reverberation of chaos, which has never been seen before. It's creating a vibration, which is horrifying. I mean, even the Earth's rotation is speeding up. Never before been recorded. It's speeding up. The day is shorter. Now, of course, scientists are first to say, well, it's not going to cause any effect. But I say it is an effect. This madness, this churning, this storming everywhere is even causing the Earth to speed up. You think we're having problems, even the planet. So if one is, again, knows oneself, if one accepts oneself, if one has that experience of and confidence that in that storm you can weather it. You know, like if you're in the sea, if you're on a boat and you're in this incredible thing, a captain who really knows his stuff, knows what he is doing, may be scared, but has confidence he can get through it. Because without confidence and fear, you're finished. He's got to get through it, and he has confidence he can do it, so he sticks to it. So you have to also have that confidence in yourself. So these are required. So you may say, okay, I'm in this stormy time, and I'm just going to tolerate it and accept it. But if you're doing that, just as you said, with the mood of self-indulgence, well, that's something else. Unless the self that you're indulging and the manner in which you're indulging self is part of your acceptance, is part of the embrace of who you are, because you were repressing it, because you were denying it, because you were pushing away self. A lot of people do that. I'm not saying you. They push away self because they're afraid of it. Again, fear and pain. So pushing away self because they don't think it's right who they are. They don't think it's right they feel the way they are. They don't like the way they feel because it's somehow against something they think it should not be. So they push self away because self is the culprit. Self has become the culprit. So we create this dichotomy. There's the soul over there, and then there's the person over here who's got all these issues that I got to push away. But what happened to soul? So is soul, are we split personalities? Are we, multiple personality disorder? We have the spirit personality over here, and we have this split off one over here. What happened? How did that happen? So we have to embrace self. If you repress all the time, if you refuse to allow yourself to see who you are, you'll never find the good in you. If you don't allow yourself to make a mistake and then find your way around it again, you'll never find yourself. You'll always be just beyond. You'll always be a potential that can't be realized because you got to get through it. Now, I know you know what I'm talking about. And it's good you asked that question. And it's right that you struggle in this way because, hey, that's what we do in life. We struggle. And I'm not saying that's the only way we advance, but it's the way we find ourselves eventually. Because this struggle of self is way worse than the struggle with things, or the struggle for money, or the struggle for politics or whatever, or social relationships. The struggle with this internal struggle, it's the identity of self trying to manifest. And we keep with this fear. No, oh, wait, no, what if? Well, that's wrong. We condemn ourselves. So self can't manifest. I am not saying just do whatever you want and be some hedonistic person for the sake of enjoyment. I'm saying this because it's part of the process of self-discovery. And that is the part we spoke very long time ago now, oh my God, hour and 10 minutes ago now, about that process of self-discovery, which requires this. So these are all methodologies, ways you can move forward, because moving forward is important. Or sometimes you have to move around. Moving around may seem like it's going backwards a little bit. Let's say you hit an obstacle. Well, you first have to back off of it to get around it. The direction is not linear. It's not forward or backward. That is a very linear concept. That's simplistic. That doesn't describe life at all. Life is three-dimensional. To get around the obstacle, you may go up, you may go down, you may go back, you may go this or left or right. That is not the problem, the direction. The problem is to move on. If you just embrace the obstacle and stick to it, or sit down in front of it and give up, that's not going to work.
Thank you so much. Fantastic, fantastic. I don't know how much energy you still have. You've been here longer than you wanted. And maybe other people have questions also, but I don't know. You are priority to me and to everybody else in here too. So how you doing?
Well, if I wasn't doing this, I'd just be sitting down in a recliner falling asleep. So, you know, I hate to say it, but when you get older, as a lot of you know, like 4:30 is the end of the day. and you know, 9 o'clock is a great time to go to bed. So I know a lot of jazz musicians in New York, and we laugh together about, in the old days they used to be up to 2 or 3, and now if they can make it to 9:30, they're really successful.
The teacher was translating because he was enjoying the joke, so he didn't translate. So he translated it out. Okay, so do you have time for one question or two more?
Sure.
Okay, your opportunities, traducirle porque no van a poder. And now, Krishna Shakti, 1 second, because if the question is in Spanish, you can talk through your phone and then you can translate the question. If you're going to ask a question, make sure that she can translate one sentence at a time. No, because Bishop cannot, Harry cannot read, and you have to speak. So you
I don't
have
have my glass. If you want to stop so I can shut the camera, and I got to take down the
It's okay. I think it will make it work. Let's see. Let's see if we make it work. Okay. So who has the question, first of all, because we're making all these arrangements? ¿Quién tiene una pregunta que le va a traducir Krishna Shakti? Daityeja has a question. So now it gets complicated because microphone from Daityeja is not when they.
He can say the question in Spanish and you translate it into English.
Okay. Krishna Shakti. Okay, sure. Okay, what he wants to know, this is the first question he ever asked you. He wants to know the difference between two, what again, Leticia? Okay, the difference between enduring and living, you know.
What?
The difference between enduring and endure, like you endure support, endure, like it, and then living, like there is a whole difference.
Living, are you saying?
Yes, living, like live, like you live your life, you know.
To
endure
your way.
And then leave.
Yeah, actually, that's a very interesting, subtle distinction. I think that I think one could write a psychological essay on that exact point. That one is just enduring life. And one is living life. Actually, it's a very deep question. It's like eating. Some people just eat and stuff their face, and others make a whole series of preparations. They make it very nice. It looks nice. It's part of a whole act. The act of eating, the meal, everything around it. It's an atmosphere. And some people just stuff it in and move on. It's very similar to that. Where something is just done without mindfulness, without connecting to it. It's like you're being forced to watch a movie you can't stand, or you're forced to watch a movie you couldn't care less about, as compared to getting really into something you really love, or music that, my next door neighbor when I was growing up, I grew up in the Bronx, but then at one point we moved out to Long Island, and the people across the street, the lady in the family, she was an opera singer at the Metropolitan Opera House in New York. So her husband was her biggest fan. So he had these speakers, which were in those days absolutely monstrous, and he had them in the house. And he had amplifiers like God knows where he got them. And the entire house was vibrating with her singing opera. I mean, she really belted it out. And the whole neighborhood was just, and I grew up hating opera. I mean, I had to endure that. I mean, I couldn't stand it. it took me 50 years, because my wife's mother is an opera singer too. We went to a theater performance where she was the director there, and I loved it. It was wonderful. But 50 years, I was enduring that. It's another example where something doesn't click with you. Something doesn't grab you. Something doesn't connect. You don't like it for many reasons. Why? You may not even care to find out why. It's just, you can't get into it. So life can be like that. You just endure life because nothing has meaning. When I use the word meaning, I mean, I'm even maybe getting into trouble here, because you might even think in that case, meaning, who cares about meaning? There's nothing to it for me, nothing in it for me. So I'm just enduring life, kind of like you would in jail, until you maybe get out. Or maybe, if you're really negative about it, until you die. You're enduring life until death because nothing here works for you that makes any sense to you. Now, why would that be? Well, it could be you're not interested in anything. Nothing has inspired you. No one has inspired you. There could be many reasons like that. Or maybe you're physically unable to experience. Many people are like that. They're physically and emotionally or mentally unable to experience life in an enjoyable way, which gives them the encouragement to live. So they're just going through life, enduring it. I mean, the word is carrying such an import to it, endure. And there are many people like that who don't have the capacity to connect with life. Because it's not just, you might not find anything interesting to you. It may be you are not capable of finding something interesting to you. And then there are people who have that capacity and who find a pleasure in something that inspires them, something that gives them a meaning. And in that case, it might mean a reason to get up in the morning. And that means a lot more than you might think. To have a reason to live. Or somebody to live for, like mothers think about children. Or a little doggy or cat who jumps on you in the morning and says, it's time to feed me, or go for a walk. Or a company that you might have started that has people depending on you and it's doing something significant. There's a meaning there, or a mission to serve. Devotees found that all the time, a meaning in a mission, or some form of meaning that makes your life so that you want to wake up in the morning. Whereas people without that meaning or without that experience have no reason to get up in the morning. And they endure life in that manner. You'll find that there's all kinds of movies and television shows which show that difference. There's always somebody like that. One of the characters is just like that, depressed. Some people can be very depressed, and that can be due to a chemical imbalance in the brain. It can be a hormonal imbalance. It can be low blood pressure. It can be disease. It can be so many reasons, or just dreadful loss and death, or the trauma of breakup, or so many reasons, which just makes one have no reason to go on living. So those who have that reason feel something that inspires them. They feel it. Life is to be lived. When people ask, what is the purpose of life? Life is to be lived. And that living includes all of the aspects of living. And it is fundamentally based on feeling the experiences of life. And that is quite opposed to enduring, because one has no desire or no ability or capacity to feel that experience of life. Did that address your question?
¿Te contestó? Yes, certainly. Thank you. I'm translating what he's saying. I hear him from here. So that's why I know what he says.
Oh, you have both at the same time?
I have, I hear you through the computer and I have a phone with the translation. So, so I am bilingual. I can hear if you translate correctly or not.
That must drive you crazy.
A little bit. No, it's okay.
But you're already a little, you know.
No, really?
It makes perfect sense.
Everybody here knows it already, so there is no surprise to anyone in this group.
But that also displays your great intelligence and capacity that you can do two things at the same time very well.
No, very well, but anyway, thank you. A ver si alguna otra pregunta, ¿alguien quiere? En español la pueden hacer. Sundari, ¿vos querés una pregunta? Dale. ¿En inglés la haces?
Yeah.
Primero la podés hacer en español, como prefería, y después en inglés.
Dale. Yo quiero preguntar cómo se puede practicar el detachment, o sea, el
desapego.
El desapego, ahí va, sí. Le quería preguntar eso.
Ahora preguntar en inglés.
Hare Krishna, Hari.
Oh.
I know that practicing detachment is a very good way to live a good life, but it's not very easy for me. So what's the technique?
Why it's not easy for you?
Because I really want things that I want. So
Well, what is it that you have? What is it that you think you should be detached from? Let's talk about that.
Goals, maybe, or just simple like desires, maybe. I don't know how to explain it very
When
well.
you say goals, do you mean like you have a right to the work itself, but not the fruits of your work?
Maybe I just want the result of those goals that I maybe desire, but I lose myself in the road, maybe, or maybe simpler things, just to detach from, like you said, reacting so much. And yeah.
Would it be correct that what I'm hearing is that you're you feel very passionately about something, but you think you shouldn't be?
Exactly. Yeah.
But then why would you think you shouldn't be?
Because I hear that detaching from things is the answer, but maybe it's not.
Well, it depends on what it is.
Yes.
It's not that detachment is a universal rule for all situations. It is very good to practice detachment when you're in a situation which would benefit from it. Like, why would you want to be detached? You're sitting next to your mother. So why would you want to be detached from her? I heard a little doggy barking in the background. Why would you want to be detached from the doggy? Why would you? There are things that you would not want to be detached from. You like doing service. You like going to the temple. You like all kinds of devotional things. I know that. So why would you want to be detached from those things? Now, the main problem would be is, let's say you feel so passionate about accomplishing something that it clouds your judgment. Now, that would be a reasonable thing to try to deal with, to develop to step back. I'm not saying detach. I'm saying to take a step back and observe. Detachment is a word which sounds great, but in practical reality, taking a step back and observing is perhaps a much better methodology. Because when you take a step back and you see the situation and you're observing how you're reacting with the situation, it can change the choices you make on how to proceed. It can also create a situation where you might think, well, why am I doing this? Or why am I doing this like that? I can also do it another way. Because the concept of just detaching yourself from an action means to stop doing it. Otherwise, if you detach from the action, then you're mindlessly doing it. That's even worse. To mindlessly act has no value. Then it's like you're just sweeping the room and not having anything to do with it. If you want to, for example, clean the temple room, you have to be into it. You know, dirt's not going to find itself. That's your job. So to take a step back and observe what's actually happening here. That question, when you take your step back and you observe, that question is very important. What's actually happening here? Why am I reacting in this way? What is making me feel like this? So what it is detachment from that particular situation. Detachment from that particular set or structure of energies, which is making you doubt, which is why you ask the question, which is why you think about detachment. Because that particular set of energies makes you doubtful. So what you should do is step back and ask questions, become a detective. Why? How is this? Why is this? What is that? Who is the problem, or who is and why am I reacting this way? What is it that's causing me to react this way? And then this situation changes. You start learning from it. You start learning how to adapt. You start learning how to gain enormous strength and confidence in your own perception, because you are the one figuring it out. So in this way, it becomes very valuable to create momentary states of detachment. It may also last a day or two. Some people decide to separate themselves from a situation for a month or two or whatever, to do the exact same thing. to think about or to feel what's going on here. But you have another question.
Basically taking the role of the observant.
Observer.
Yeah, sorry. Observer. Right?
Yes. But you have to actively step back to become the observer. Because once you're in it, you're not the observer. You're the actor. You are the main character. When you step back, you become the observer. That's a totally different situation.
Observer of the actor?
No, observer of what's going on, observer of the actions, observer of the situation, observer of the feelings, observer of the energies. And why that's important is because you have to accept all of them. They're a package deal.
Mm-hmm. And when comes the taking action part?
When you decide, when you give your judgment, you're the observer. So you're going to write a little essay. I've observed this and this and that. I therefore conclude this and this and that would be the best thing to do next. It happens very rapidly, but that's a very good way for you to. I think that's one of the most important aspects of growing older.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're younger, you tend to, I'm talking because of experience. We tend to be, we just jump into things a lot. We tend to make commitments very powerfully without understanding the long-term consequences. We tend to make actions without understanding the long-term situation or how it affects others because we don't have the experience. We haven't collected enough data to understand these things. We're right now using our youthful energy to get things done and do stuff, and that's good. We shouldn't stop doing that. But sometimes we say, well, I don't feel good about this. Something's wrong. What do I do? That something's wrong should be the indicator to take a step back and observe and ask a lot of questions. And then doing that will allow you to collect data.
Mm-hmm.
And that data goes into your memory and it becomes experiences that you rely on later on to develop yourself more and make a better choice next time.
And one can practice what you're saying with just little things also.
You got to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can't expect to just jump into major chaos and expect to do that. You have to start with little stuff. You have to build your toolbox that you can, and your data set, so that you can enter into the bigger battles with more confidence and more capacity. Because otherwise you'll just get captured and thrown around like by the storm. So doing this in little ways first is great.
Excellent. Thank you, Hari. Thank you so much, Harkishan.
So nice to see Sundari grown up, no?
I'm amazed. I mean, from
and Gopal, both of them being babies.
I'm just like astounded. I'm feeling so old. I'm like, oh God.
Same here, same here.
I mean, when I first went to Argentina, her mother was just a kid.
Yeah, she was 19.
I mean, I remember that. And so, now I'm feeling like this ancient grandfather here, like this.
So sweet, yeah. Daksha was 19 when she met you, now Sundar is 18, so basically the same age.
Yeah, I know, it's the same.
It's already 2 hours.
I think I have to quit.
I know, it's 2 hours. And I know this is over the time of your energy, and I think the translators also get exhausted from.
Yes, thank you, translators.
Yeah, especially Krishna Shakti. Actually, Krishna Shakti, you know, she speaks, Krishna Shakti speaks Portuguese. So she's trying to translate in English, and so it's Spanish is a little harder, but she did a wonderful job. So thank you, Krishna Shakti. Bueno, todos lo van a querer saludar. Si quiere, aunque sea que digan quiénes son y dónde están, o solo decir Haribol, o...
I just want to say, Gandini, thank you for organizing this. You should do this more often.
I try to. You're coming next, so...
Oh.
Brahmatirtha is coming. Thank you, Brahmatirtha, for being here. Sorry. We have 2 Prabhupada disciples here, and we are very blessed to have them. I love them very much. Bueno, estoy hablando en inglés y Leticia no está traduciendo, así que...
Murti, too.
Ah, no, la vi.
Yeah.
Murti. So 3 Prabhupada disciples in one Zoom. This is like special. I didn't see Murti. We have 30 people. Ah, está Murti, welcome. Bienvenida. Bueno, do you want them to tell you my name is and I am here, Haribol, or you want them to just say Haribol?
I just want to say hi and goodbye, and you take care all and be healthy and happy. And
Ábranse los micrófonos y salúdenlo a él ustedes como quieran. Así, salúdenlo. Ábranse los
Thank you
micrófonos.
very much.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Thank
you very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Hare.
Good night to all of you.
Well rest. Thank you so much.
Gracias.
Thank you. Haribol.
Good night.
Thank you very much, Hari.
Haribol.
Wait for you here. Gracias, Brahmatirtha. No sé si se fue Brahmatirtha también. No sé, bueno. Gracias a todos. Gracias especialmente voy a sacar el intérprete. Un minuto. Manage. Ok, ahora pueden hablar Daitiesha. Y gracias.
Gracias a todos por su paciencia.
Gracias. Gandini, gracias Gandini.
Gracias Murti por estar acá presente también, fue muy especial. Hablemos sin miedo ni dolor.
Sin miedo ni dolor.